In February 2016, a group of hackers pulled off one of the most daring cybercrimes in history, stealing $81 million from Bangladesh's central bank without ever stepping foot in the country. No ski masks, no guns, no high-speed chases, just a few lines of malicious code, a network of offshore accounts, and a jammed office printer that kept the theft hidden for days. A single typo nearly unraveled their meticulous plan, but by then, the money was already slipping through the cracks of the global financial system. This is the story of a digital heist so audacious it exposed the fragility of the world's banking networks and left investigators chasing shadows. Bangladesh Bank, the nation's central financial institution, is the backbone of its economy, overseeing monetary policy and managing foreign exchange reserves worth billions. As a trusted member of the SWIFT network, a global messaging system connecting over 11,000 financial institutions worldwide, it had direct access to the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank of New York for high-value international transfers. This privileged position made it a prime target for cybercriminals who didn't need to break into a vault. They just needed a way into the bank's digital infrastructure. The attack began with a deceptively simple weapon: phishing emails. According to FBI reports and cybersecurity analyses by firms like FireEye and Symantec, hackers sent carefully crafted emails to bank employees, likely posing as job applicants, vendors, or trusted contacts. These emails contained malicious links or attachments that, with a single click, delivered malware into the bank's system. The malware was sophisticated, designed to operate in stealth mode, silently capturing employee login credentials, monitoring network traffic, and studying the bank's SWIFT transaction protocols. For weeks, the hackers lurked in the shadows, learning the rhythms of the bank's operations, how employees formatted transfer requests, when transactions were processed, and where oversight was weakest. Their preparation was meticulous. The hackers crafted dozens of fraudulent SWIFT transfer requests, each tailored to blend seamlessly with legitimate transactions. They chose their moment with precision, a long weekend from Thursday to Saturday in Bangladesh, when the bank was minimally staffed, and the New York Fed was closed for business. This timing minimized the chance of immediate detection, as fewer staff would be monitoring the system, and cross-border communication would be delayed. The hackers also exploited the bank's outdated cybersecurity infrastructure, which lacked robust firewalls and intrusion detection systems, making it easier to manipulate the SWIFT terminal. The stage was set for a heist of unprecedented ambition. This setup was perfect. Wait until you see how much they tried to steal. On the 4th of February, 2016, the hackers launched their attack with surgical precision. Over a few hours, they sent 35 fraudulent SWIFT transfer requests to the New York Federal Reserve, directing nearly $1 billion to accounts in the Philippines and Sri Lanka. The messages were expertly crafted, mimicking the format and language of routine transactions to avoid raising red flags. By the time Bangladesh Bank's staff returned from the weekend, $81 million had already been transferred to accounts controlled by the hackers, primarily at Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation in the Philippines, with a smaller portion sent to Sri Lanka. What stopped the remaining $900 million? A stroke of luck, or rather, a careless mistake. One transfer request directed funds to the Shalika Foundation, misspelling foundation. This typo caught the attention of a Deutsche Bank employee routing the transactions, who flagged it as suspicious. The error triggered a chain of scrutiny that halted the remaining transfers before they could clear. But the hackers had another layer of deception. They had sabotaged the bank's transaction confirmation printer, a critical tool for verifying SWIFT messages. According to Reuters, the malware sent error commands to the printer, causing it to jam and leaving staff unaware of the flood of fraudulent requests pouring through the system. For days, employees struggled with the malfunctioning printer, unaware that it was masking a massive theft. The stolen $81 million moved swiftly through a labyrinth of accounts. In the Philippines, the funds were funneled into multiple bank accounts, many linked to fictitious identities or shell companies. From there, the money flowed into the country's casino industry, a perfect vehicle for money laundering. As reported by Wired, the hackers converted the funds into gambling chips at high-roller venues like Solaire and City of Dreams in Manila. Casinos, with their lax oversight and high cash turnover, allowed the hackers to withdraw the money as untraceable cash, often through intermediaries or junket operators who facilitated large transactions. A smaller portion of the funds sent to Sri Lanka was blocked due to unrelated banking issues, but the majority of the $81 million was already disappearing into a complex web of transactions. Can you guess who took the fall? The discovery of the heist unleashed chaos. Bangladesh bank officials, realizing the scale of the theft, scrambled to trace the missing funds, while the New York Fed and SWIFT launched urgent investigations. In the Philippines, the focus turned to RCBC, where a branch manager, Maya Degito, was accused of facilitating the transfers by opening accounts for questionable clients. According to Reuters, Degito and several associates were arrested, and RCBC was fined $20 million for weak anti-money laundering controls. The Philippine casino industry also faced intense scrutiny. As its minimal regulation, casinos were not required to report large cash transactions, had allowed millions to vanish without a trace. The investigation pointed to a chilling suspect, the Lazarus Group, a hacking collective linked to North Korea. FBI reports and analyses by cybersecurity firms like Symantec and FireEye identified striking similarities between the malware used in the heist and previous attacks attributed to Lazarus, including the 2014 Sony Pictures hack and a series of bank-targeted cyber attacks in Asia. The malware's code signatures, use of North Korean IP addresses, and the attack's audacity matched the group's playbook. The heist was seen as part of a broader campaign of state-sponsored cyber warfare, with stolen funds likely funneled to support North Korea's regime, which faced crippling international sanctions. Recovery efforts were largely futile. Of the $81 million stolen, only about $20 million was recovered, mostly from the Sri Lanka transfer that had been blocked. The rest had been laundered too effectively through the casinos, disappearing into a maze of cash withdrawals and offshore accounts. The heist exposed glaring vulnerabilities in the global financial system, particularly in SWIFT's decentralized structure, which relied heavily on individual banks' cybersecurity. Bangladesh Bank's outdated systems, including unpatched software and weak network protections, had made it an easy target. In response, SWIFT rolled out stricter security protocols, including mandatory two-factor authentication, enhanced transaction monitoring, and new tools to detect anomalous activity. Central banks worldwide followed suit, investing heavily in cybersecurity upgrades to close gaps exploited by the hackers. The fallout extended beyond technology. Bangladesh Bank faced international embarrassment and financial strain, with its reputation as a trusted SWIFT member tarnished. The Philippine government tightened its anti-money laundering laws, requiring casinos to report large transactions and increasing oversight of banking operations. The incident also sparked a broader conversation about the risks of digital finance, as central banks and regulators grappled with the reality that a single breach could destabilize global markets. Yet, despite the arrests and reforms, the masterminds behind the heist remained elusive, their identities cloaked in the anonymity of the digital underworld. The Bangladesh bank heist wasn't just a theft, it was a wake-up call. The hackers didn't need to pick a lock, bribe a guard, or fire a shot. They studied the system, exploited its trust, and nearly walked away with $1 billion. A jammed printer and a single typo were the fragile threads that kept the heist from becoming a financial catastrophe. In an era where money moves at the speed of code, this crime laid bare the vulnerabilities of our digital systems and the shadowy forces ready to exploit them.